Hey everyone, it's Spike. I review nootropics, and in this video today we're talking about modafinil. This is probably the most popular nootropic smart drug out there. A lot of people are taking it and reporting achieving much higher levels of productivity. So in this video we're going to talk about modafinil. I'll share my experiences. I've taken it for a number of years. We'll look at the benefits, the side effects, and how to take modafinil. And if you haven't yet subscribed, do click subscribe and click the like button, and let's get right into the video. Specifically, why this nootropic is so popular is the fact that you're able to get like 12 hours of fatigue-free work. And here's what I mean. In a typical day, after a few hours, you would be a little bit tired. You would feel like a lack of focus. You would want to take a break and rejuvenate yourself. Whereas with modafinil, that break is not needed. I'm talking from the time you get into the office, let's say it's 9 a.m., you have this laser-like focus. You are able to very easily shut out distractions, and you can really like knock off everything off your to-do list. This has happened to me, in which I've often taken modafinil and I finished the work for that day, the following day, and even the day after. You kind of feel like Superman. Like, you know that feeling when you go for a run and following the run, you're in this really good, hyped up state where you're very eager to be productive? That's how modafinil feels like throughout the whole course of the day. Everything outside of work seems very boring and you have no interest in it whatsoever. So it's very common that people say that their girlfriends start hating them when they start taking modafinil because all they want to do is work. And if you're somebody whose work or lifestyle requires a lot of multitasking, modafinil may be right for you because your multitasking skills are definitely up. I'm talking anybody who's maybe going from phone calls to typing up emails and then walking into meetings like a typical entrepreneur. You'll find that with modafinil, having these transitions doesn't seem to fatigue you as much, and your willpower stays very high. There's some emerging research showing that modafinil can actually help with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder symptoms. It can do it in a way which it doesn't have the abuse potential that typically is found in things like Adderall or Concerta or Vyvanse. There's research and studies on modafinil that go way back to the 1970s, so it's seen as a relatively safe nootropic. According to Wikipedia here, in 2017, it was ranked the 328th most commonly prescribed medication with more than 900,000 prescriptions. The way in which modafinil works, honestly, some people don't notice it working, but the people that find it most effective are the people who are sleep deprived, because it'll kind of take somebody who's maybe had only 4 hours of sleep and giving them the same cognition as if they would have had maybe 7 or 8 hours of sleep, as far as things even like their reaction time and their decision making. However, though, is that one way in which it is similar to stimulants is the fact that it will often keep you up at night. So you want to really make sure that you're intentional about taking it like either first thing in the morning or within a few hours of waking up. My cutoff time is about 1 o'clock. If I take modafinil after 1 o'clock, then it's likely that it'll either cause me to stay awake or I will sleep, but of course have really bad sleep quality. This level of focus is probably why it is so hyped up, but how is it as far as enhancing your cognition, like doing things like actually making you smarter, improving your memory, improving your decision making and your critical thinking? From my experience, it really doesn't do all that. There are surprisingly some tasks where you may perform better, and there's some tasks where you'll actually perform worse than typically. An example of that is reading. When you're on modafinil, for whatever reason, you can read a lot faster and you can retain the information fairly well at the same time, versus when I'm often drinking coffee, I notice that I'm able to read fast, but I don't always remember it. So with modafinil, I would say you can probably read twice as fast, which can make it such that modafinil will aid your learning or aid your studying if you're going through some sort of course. Because of course then you're gonna get through the material a lot faster, and due to the focus you have, you become a sponge for information. Conversely though, I don't think that modafinil is good when it comes to improving your performance at analytical tasks. So if you're somebody that's like a stock trader, or maybe you're an engineer, it probably won't help you perform better. I think there's much better nootropics out there specifically for those tasks. Two in which I really like are Lion's Mane. I've made a video which I will link right here, and Bacopa Minieri. This is a great nootropic. And modafinil as well, unfortunately, it doesn't really seem to help with your memory. The only kind of way in which I could see it improving your memory is because if you're sleep deprived, then of course it will make you perform at baseline. But if you were to take like a well-rested person and have them take some modafinil, I don't see them having any benefits whatsoever when it comes to memory. The next major improvement with modafinil is that it really does improve your mood, but it does it in a very different way than coffee does. With coffee, often you feel this mood uplift, but you also get this euphoric feeling, and that lasts for about 3 hours, and then you'll experience a crash. Whereas with modafinil, it's a light mood boost. You definitely know it's working, and since modafinil is something that you take once a day and lasts the whole day, what you also experience is like being in a great mood all day. And unfortunately, this is the reason why modafinil is so often abused, and that was my experience as well. I first started taking it twice a week, 3 times a week, and then 4 times a week, and I knew that the direction I was going in was not healthy, so I took a whole month off of modafinil, and I did talk about that experience in a video I will link right here. To have the best experience with modafinil as far as productivity, I found that it's best when I make my to-do list the evening prior, and then from the moment I wake up, once I take my modafinil, I'm just go, 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 because this is like the execution nootropic. Here's the next and really surprising benefit is that modafinil can actually help with weight loss. And the way in which it does that is very similar to other stimulants. Think caffeine, Adderall, Vyvanse. They are going to suppress your appetite. Suddenly, food which you enjoy doesn't become that tempting to eat anymore. And I've also found it has this really neat effect as far as helping your workouts, especially if you're weight training. You'll notice like your mind-muscle connection is a lot better. And when it comes to endurance training, your cardio is slightly better, like having a better aerobic capacity. Like if you're somebody that can jog for 20 minutes, don't be surprised if you can jog up to 25 minutes on those days when you take modafinil. Very often when people are trying to lose weight, they do take caffeine to suppress their appetite. So modafinil can maybe act as a substitute because it will give you that energy boost which you really need when you're cutting, because when you're cutting, very often you're more irritable and you simply just don't have the energy to get through your day. Of course, if you're underweight, or you're looking to gain weight, then be mindful of this. I would probably recommend that you eat breakfast before you take modafinil in the morning, because from the time you take modafinil, it's very likely that your breakfast will not seem that appetizing anymore. Probably my favorite benefit is that modafinil does significantly reduce procrastination. I'm talking from the moment you come up with an idea, you will execute it. This is like the ultimate nootropic when it comes to staying busy, staying in action, and at the same time, you are keeping things very simple. Whereas, let's say you have to tackle a phone call, versus thinking of 100 ways in which that call can go wrong, you will go ahead and just make the call before you have a chance to think about it. And this is the very reason why very often people report of like 1 day taking modafinil is equivalent to 3 days without modafinil in their particular style of work. It's because of the fact that it reduces procrastination, makes it less likely that you're overthinking and wasting time. Of course, with a nootropic this strong, it will always have some side effects. And here are the most commonly reported ones. They include headaches, dizziness, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, drowsiness, nausea, diarrhea, and constipation. I haven't personally felt many of these, but something I experience every single time I use modafinil are the headaches. But I will admit they are bearable, they're not that bad, and they always come at the end of the day. In the middle of the day, they can come, but they will go. It's likely because you're dehydrated, so make sure you drink a lot of water. But I'm talking like about 10 hours after the ingestion of modafinil, you feel like this strong sensation in the middle of your forehead. It's very uncomfortable, and I would really recommend that you, again, drink a lot of water and do consider supplementing with choline. My favorite form of choline that I take, and I take in abundance when I use modafinil, is alpha-GPC. And I've talked about alpha-GPC in this video. I will link here. I would really recommend that you consider this nootropic. It's going to boost your energy and aid your concentration and mood. The other side effect that I experience is irritability. I'm very impatient with people. I'm more likely to get in some sort of altercation or argument. So modafinil, I like to think of it like a good thing to take if you are maybe like looking to build an online business, because you're completely alone. But if you're somebody that is working in an environment with other people, then this is something to especially be mindful of. You're definitely going to be a little bit more irritable than usual. But for the most part, I was kind of surprised how few side effects there are, and even the side effects that are there, they're like relatively light. You can tolerate them. There are people out there who have reported taking modafinil for years, getting off of modafinil, and actually feeling fine with respect to feeling the withdrawals that you would typically get with something which is going to enhance your focus. Like, I took Concerta for many years, and I've discussed my experience in this video. I will link right here. And when I took Concerta, it really did boost my productivity. My focus was a lot better. I would say it was definitely better than modafinil, but the withdrawals really made it a horrible experience. It's important to note, however, that Stevens-Johnson syndrome is a potential side effect of taking modafinil. If you look on Wikipedia, you can see a list of all of the SJS-inducing substances, of course modafinil being one of them, and think of SJS like something you would not want to get. You will not look the same as far as skin peeling, rashes, and if somebody gets Stevens-Johnson syndrome, they actually have a 5 to 10% chance of passing away. However, though, with modafinil, it looks like it's pretty unlikely. It says online back in 2017 that there was no definitive case had been presented in the literature, maybe just mild rashes that were treated immediately after finding them. That's my report on modafinil. Hope you all enjoyed it. I do want to say that, of course, these videos are purely educational. Listen to your doctor, your GP when it comes to the use of modafinil. Stay safe and be sure to subscribe and comment below, and I will look forward to seeing you all next time.